As the country gets closer to a vaccine rollout, many companies may require their employees to get one before returning to work. Legal analyst Wendy Patrick joining us now with more. Wendy, good morning.
Good morning, Shelley.
I've seen some heated discussions about this. Can your employer force you to get a vaccine and make it mandatory in order for you to work?
Well, two questions there, Shelley, both very good. The answer is a qualified yes, depending on where you work, unless you qualify for an exception. So here is how this is going to work. This is one of those things that's back to work, but it's back to work safely. And everybody wants to make sure that once employees come back into the workplace, so having been working remotely, that they do so without creating an undue risk of infecting customers, clients, patrons, anybody else in the business, coworkers. So yes, private employers can require vaccinations unless there is either a medically recognized exception or a religious exception. And that is a sort of a general proposition across the board that, believe it or not, Shelley, is not a new idea. We've seen this in other types of workplaces, particularly healthcare. We've also seen it in schools where we've had mandatory immunizations for years unless you have one of those two exceptions. So expect to see more of the same when we finally have a COVID vaccine.
We've seen this, Wendy, you are right, when it comes to schools and getting ready to enroll my little 2-year-old next year. And there's a form that says updated and all the immunizations in order for him to attend school. But we don't really see this as often. Maybe it's not common. We just haven't been exposed to this as adults, right? And you also, in the environment that we are, what, 40+% of Americans are saying, nope, we don't want that vaccine, at least for now, and they're nervous about getting one. So does that mean you're going to lose your job?
Well, Shelley, that's the question everybody's asking. The very first thing you have to know is it depends on where you work. Are you a government employee? Do you work in a hospital setting? So if you have a private employer, though, they do have more leeway in terms of what they can require you to do. Think about it this way. Some employers fear that they're going to run afoul of labor laws that requires them to have a safe workplace. Now, let me couple that with the fact that they want to also have a competitive advantage, being able to say, and let's take the hospitality industry as an example, being able to say all of our servers, all of our employees are regularly COVID tested or have been vaccinated now that we're finally going to have a vaccine. So they may actually be in a position of offering incentives for people that want to get vaccinated and should be vaccinated. Now, if somebody doesn't want to do it, or they have a religious objection or a medical exemption, there may be lots of flexibility in terms of other options for where that employee can work. Now, if it's a restaurant setting, you can't very well work remotely, but you may be able to if you have some other type of setting or you work in a different type of industry where you have been able to be working remotely up until now. So there's going to be lots of different options, Shelley, for people that don't want to take the vaccine or can't take the vaccine or have a religious objection to taking the vaccine.
Would one of the options be you're fired?
One of the options could very well be you're fired depending on where you work. And that is something that people are talking about more than ever, given the statistics that you just cited. Just because a vaccine is available doesn't mean everybody wants to take one. Some people are afraid to take one because they don't think enough people have been put through a trial period to feel safe. Now that number is going down by the day, percentage-wise, but there still will be people that will say, show me 1 year of statistics that it's not dangerous, and then I'll take it. And yes, Charlotte, a qualified yes. If you don't fit into an exception, private employers may have that option.
It'll be very interesting to see what's going to happen over the next months into next year as the vaccine becomes more and more available. Wendy Patrick, always good to see you.
Thanks, Shelley.